Wi-Fi guy out here? I did ask Heidi. Okay.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in. It's Monday, y'all. It is Monday, May 22nd. Summer is here, and Snaps is back for another week of giving you daily college football takes. What's up, everybody? Chad, Thomas, Greg, Bilbo, Andy, what's happening? Y'all glad everybody back? You know, we miss you always. Glad to be back here live. This is our first post-snip snaps as I am recovering from my own vasectomy. I'm only leading with this because it's been a theme of the show kind of since the very beginning, as both me and Aaron now have completed what has to be the first ever case. Think about this, Aaron. All the human beings that have ever lived ever, we could potentially be the first ever two human beings to both get vasectomies while hosting a daily college football podcast. Okay. Not to pat ourselves on the scrotum too hard, but I'm proud of it.
Definitely not too hard. Definitely want to be very gentle. If I know how you are feeling at the moment, which, you know, mine was about 2 months ago. So I do know how you're feeling at the moment. Be very, very gentle when you gently pat your scrotum there. How are we doing though? Like, are we nice and swollen and bruised? How are we feeling? Are we walking yet? How's it going?
Swelling's not bad. Yeah, pretty much walking. I mean, I was getting back to doing kind of normal things around the house yesterday. I feel very out of it, but that's probably due more to the pain pills over the weekend. And I ended up just taking a ton of Tylenol PM. Like, for all the dreams that I had of watching all this content, I was just kind of hurting. I was like, you know what's I'm just gonna sleep. And so that's what I mainly ended up doing, is actually kind of incredible. But I have some sort of weird brain fog. Somebody maybe said I have too much backup in me earlier, and it's clouding my brain, which definitely could be the case, because it's gonna be a rough
Semen
week
backup?
for your boy. Yeah. They were saying that I'm so backed up now that it's literally leaking into my brain. And the only reason I bring that up is because that's it's kind of like how I feel today. Like, my brain fog is just out of control. So I'm just calling it, if I call it the Blanks podcast. That's credit.
Yeah.
What's up, Jude McClare? Much love to you as well. Yeah. So if whatever, I guess this is all just to say, if I feel a little out of it today, that's why. I apologize. You do have a lot to get to today. Real quick. Aaron, I don't know about you, but I found this to be the single funniest part about getting a vasectomy. And it is simply the feeling of, first off, it's all very weird, having whoever the nurse is come in there, just handle you and prep your nuts for surgery while y'all are making general conversation.
I didn't get any of this. Did you really get a nurse prepping? Because I didn't get mine. Was the doctor who came in there?
She
literally just went to work.
No, she set the scene for the doctor. She placed me back and put towels all around, and so it was just my sack was left showing, I guess. I don't know, dude. And the whole time we're I'm making jokes because I feel uncomfortable. That's how I deal with weird situations. And then so whatever, then you get numbed and you don't feel anything, and the process has been great. The doctor,
hey, it's kind of cold here in Gunner's today.
Yeah, look, man, it was, the office was, I'm nervous. Okay. Why does the statue of David? Why do people try to clown David? Well, did you know that statue's from right before he fought Goliath? Okay. And anatomically, when the adrenaline's going, sometimes, some shrinkage happens, dude. What are you supposed to do, dude? But like, so whatever. So my doctor, though, I got him in credit. Excellent bedside manner. He's a former LSU football player. We're just chatting it up the whole time. Because again,
that's interesting.
Well, the what you call it, the what they gave you the Valium. They gave me some sort of anti-anxiety thing, right, to take beforehand. So I was just really like laughing at everything. But then what really had me cracking up is when I got done, right? It's rare to go something where you're completely numbed up and it's technically a surgery, but then they're just like, all right, bye. And you just walk out, right? And so I'm on the second floor and it's like I can't feel my genitals because they're numb, but I know they hurt. Like I know they are bruised, right? And I've got these thick thighs. And so if I'm just walking north, those things are just going to be getting all crushed and like around. So I know I have to be careful, even though I can't feel anything. And so I walk out of the urologist office, hitting this like super slow cowboy walk, spread about 6 feet, and I look like I'm creeping around. And I'm like, every guy that walks in here for a consultation has literally seen me leave like a castrated dog. And I was just dying laughing that everybody knew exactly. And okay, and this is where the story takes a dark turn. And I said on my show this morning, but you know what it reminds me of, Aaron? I grew up mainly in Atlanta, right? Even though all my family's from like either country Louisiana up north or super Cajun Louisiana down south. I was always like a city boy, right? But I was always desperate to prove to my family that I was a tough, like not city boy. So one time my uncle had me help him castrate about 5 goats that he had. And what I had to do, I was 10 years old. I had to sit on them and I had to hold their horns while he took a straight razor and just cut their testicles open, cut them off, spray disinfect it, and sent them on their way. And I would look these things in the eyes as this was going on, and they'd be freaking out. And when goats yell, they yell like ah, like they kind of sound like humans. It's really weird. But I will never forget how gingerly those goats were walking afterwards. And I felt like one of those goats walking down the, walking out to the sitting room to go get picked up by my wife. So I don't know. That just made me laugh very hard.
First off, you're soft for having to take Valium, and 2, it does remind me of the guy. Valium? No, I just jumped in there. Doctor said came in there, just went to work. He numbed the cojones and just slid open, made it happen, and went on my merry way. And I drove home afterwards.
Bro, I was borderline freaking out when I hit the table. I was borderline freaking out when I hit the table, dude. I don't know.
See, like at least you had me ahead of you, who just did it.
True.
Who was a smooth operation and all fine and didn't take the Valium and you had that. I didn't have anything before me. Everything I had before me was like all worried of, hey, I ran 2 weeks later and I felt like my nuts were falling off, like all horror stories essentially. So you should have just sucked it up, gone there, got it over with, and driven yourself home.
No, dude. This you gotta understand me. I recognize the dangers of pharmaceutical drugs, right? And I do not mean to be flippant about it, because you have to be careful with this stuff. But if the option is ever, do you want these pharmaceutical drugs? I am never saying no. I don't think that I'm that crazy for that. I think there's a lot of people in that boat. We're not looking to abuse anything. But if I'm going to get my nuts cut, if you're telling me I can feel pretty happy off of a Valium or whatever for a while, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, dude. Okay. And I don't regret a thing, even though, I did start watching Succession as well again. So I decided to leave my wife behind. All right. Sorry. I had to get that off my head, top of mind. It brings closure to the show. The Snap Boys are now snipped. I apologize for spending so much time on that. Do you want to talk about another, snipping? I don't know. Let's just, you know what? There's no easy transition here. We're going to dive right in. Kevin Warren, now president of the Chicago Bears in the NFL. has, like we said, man, I think a couple months back talking about him when he left the Big Ten, he really orchestrated quite the comeback, right? During COVID,
Yep.
everybody was kind of against Kevin Warren. He kind of read the room wrong, thought he was going to make a big move, ended up kind of blowing up his face. He was kind of left for dead. And then he got to work and he negotiated the biggest college football television contract that we have ever seen, one superior even to that ESPN gave the SEC. And then he pieced out and he looked like he was a conquering champion on the way out. Well, we now have an interesting story from Pete Thamel on ESPN.com that shows you that maybe Warren's deal was a little less finalized than originally thought. And here's what I'll say. This subject matter, as we're going to see, it's a little dense, y'all. But there are a few broad highlights that I think you want to understand here. And that's that deal that Warren struck is supposed to average about $1 billion annually. And right now, there's about $70 million that's kind of up in flux. And there's some ownership rights issues, which are weird. And Warren made a lot of these deals without consulting the schools, and he made a lot of deals without consulting the coaches. And so all of a sudden, you kind of have a bit of a Kevin Warren magic act, Aaron, where he presented you almost like not like a full house of cards, right? But he put together the kind of rough details of a deal, and then he pieced out. And he said, look, I'm the visionary. Now y'all go program, right? He's Steve Jobs. Yeah. You go Wozniak at Petitti, and you try to come get it right.
Yeah, you figure out kind of what I left you. We all thought it's still at the end of the day, it's still going to be an amazing deal for the Big Ten. Like, let's not go crazy. Losing $70 million of a $1 billion deal, that's still very lucrative for every school in that conference. So I don't think anyone's boo-hooing. I just think people were and are a little bit upset with the lack of communication. You see guys in this article like Ryan Day or Tom Izzo, the head basketball coach at Michigan State, kind of saying like, hey, a lot of this stuff was put together. And yes, coaches are kind of the last ones to know, but really we had no idea what was going on behind closed doors. We're just kind of sitting back saying, okay, or what the hell? Why aren't we talking about this? We don't want a lot of our basketball games to only be on a streaming service. Ryan Day saying, hey, we really don't want to, and there's a clause in our current contract to be playing nighttime games. Like if it's a good for the contract and the conference, maybe we can schedule one or two of them. But, we want to make sure that this is something that, hey, we know we're a primetime team, that you're not trying to put all of our games at NBC at night. Then you got Fox, who comes in and says, what the hell, 2026, we did not sign off because we do have the rights through the Big Ten Network. We have the rights to determine who gets the championship game. And essentially Warren gave that championship game in 2026 to NBC, and Fox like, no, you don't have that right. So a lot of things that he just did. And then, like you said, T, just said, okay, this all looks good. You guys make it happen, without really getting it okayed by Fox, who is their main partner, the athletic directors, and then the head coaches of these universities. So it's somewhat of a mess. I think it'll all work itself at the end of the day. Yes, there may be some money that's lost, but still it's a mega deal. So, if each university loses $5 million on the deal, while that may hurt, it's still more than, I think it's going to be right equivalent to what the SEC is making per deal with their new deal as well with ESPN.
Yeah, look, they'll be fine. I think, again, the more interesting stuff here is, and well, actually, one thing I don't understand, Aaron, and let me know if you ever read on this. I haven't been able to figure it out, and I'm probably not smart enough to figure it out on my own. I need somebody to do the reporting for me. But, okay, so you mentioned it in passing there, but one of the big hangups here is that the Big Ten Network owns all of the rights that Kevin Warren was out here negotiating and selling, right? The Big Ten Network is owned by Fox. So I guess what I'm wondering is, like, when these new deals are struck, what kind of say does Fox have in that? Does part of that money go to Fox? Does all that money go to the Big Ten Network? I don't fully understand that. But like you said, that is where schools are having to pay $40 million back to Fox because they took that title game without telling them. They're having to pay a backlog of $25 million to Fox for 2020 football game inventory that was just kind of given away. So it feels a little haphazard. And I'm sorry, the new commissioner,
yes, Petitti. the whole NBC deal is not finalized either. Like
Yeah.
they were so proud of, hey, Fox at noon, CBS 3:30, then NBC at 7:30. Like I said, like it's all going to happen. Even NBC
Nobody wants to play
executives
their
are saying,
primetime games at night.
yeah, that's the biggest issue. Like there are clauses and reasonings, probably because of weather and the time of year. These schools don't want to be playing 7 o'clock games in November. And what teams do you think they're going to want to pick? NBC. They're going to want to pick Michigan and Ohio State, all these northern teams that, like I said, kind of have this whole thing where they don't want to play games at night. They'd rather be that Fox big noon kickoff, which I think at the end of the day too, you have to understand with all the contracts, Fox still gets the first choice. So if Michigan and Ohio State are playing, Fox is going to put that game at noon. Like they still are the big boys that run the conference. CBS and NBC essentially flip-flop who gets the second and third choice. So you still, if I'm Ohio State, because of the brand, and if you're Michigan, more times than not, you're not going to be being put on that primetime game anyways. You'll probably get picked up by Fox for that noon kickoff if you're playing a big-time opponent.
And I kind of like that. I mean, look, I'm never going to say no to more big-time nighttime matchups, right? Like, that is fun, but, like, there is something very comforting about knowing that at noon we're going to get a premier Big Ten matchup. Like it's how that part of the country does it. It's how they're used to doing it. It's why they're a little hesitant to want to start to engage in these night games. And I love night games, right? But I also love, like you said, Ohio State, Michigan at noon. It's just always such a treat at 11 a.m. when I'm still like finishing up breakfast and coffee and getting ready to lock in for 12 hours straight.
Because I was wondering this. Average temperatures in Michigan in November, high of 49, low of 34. It ain't that damn cold.
No, that ain't crazy. Okay, I thought it'd be worse than that. I thought we'd be dealing with like negative temperatures or something. If Bills fans can go to football games, anybody can go to football games. I will say the last thing I'll say is the only person I really feel bad for in all this is Tony Petitti. Because here's what Tony Petitti laid out when he first got the job, and this gives you an idea of just how much of the actual detail work Warren left Petitti. Here were Tony Petitti's 4 initial goals when he took over. 1, integrate USC and UCLA by 2024-25. 2, explore new media rights deal and expanded CFP. 3, focus on name, image, and likeness. And 4, focus on the official completion of the $7 billion TV contract. So truly, Warren laid out the vision and then left the work to everybody else, and now he runs an NFL team. I mean, genius move on Kevin Warren's act.
I don't think he's going to get a bonus. I think the Big Ten hired an outside firm to look into possibly giving him some sort of bonus for this entire deal. Would you give him a bonus for the vision and not the completion, or are we holding off on a bonus for Kevin Warren?
Let's see how much anger and vitriol we're hearing from the coaches, right? And some of the schools are having to pay back. I guess it depends on how pissed people are. And I can't pretend to have too good of a read on how pissed people are versus like there are some grumblings now coming out. And it had probably especially irked people at the time that maybe weren't happy with him to see him kind of celebrated like he was. So once one of these things starts to come out, they're going to like continue to snowball here. So shout out Kevin Warren. He's, Magic Johnson. I ain't going to be here next year. He's good to go, man. All right. What else should we talk about? Okay. How about this, Aaron? A little Groundhog Day for the Pac-12. Another day and another headline about how screwed the Pac-12 is. At this point, it almost feels like it's becoming a bit gratuitous, right? Like, it seems like a bunch of people were all just kind of getting off on telling the Pac-12 how fucked they are. Like, you're never going to find a TV deal. ESPN doesn't even want you. You're a dead man walking. And it's not that I disagree with that. It's just that we keep lining up to say it. And the wildest part about it is that the greatest of all ironies from a pure football perspective, like the Pac-12 is more interesting than it's ever been. I'm really trying to think about the last year in which I cared about the Pac-12.
But for one more year, though.
No, I know. I'm just saying there is something deeply ironic on just a truth is stranger than fiction level. Then at the time when every headline just about them being dead, they've got all the best quarterbacks returning in the entire country. They've got multiple teams that feel like they could be good enough to win the conference and
they'll be
maybe
the third
even
best
like
conference
win
in
a playoff
America.
game. They have a Colorado, a
third
111 Colorado with Coach Prime that suddenly got interest. Like it's just crazy that we're all talking about how screwed they are, and they look more interesting than ever.
Would you agree with this statement that they're the third best team and third best conference, SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12 heading into next season?
Certainly on paper. Yes,
Yeah.
I think who would actually challenge? I mean, again, though, the Big 12 did surprise me last year. Now, I don't think the Big 12 is going to be nearly as good next year, but maybe I'll end up being wrong. I could see it. Because I do feel like the Big 12 and Pac-12 are kind of right there with each other last year.
Yeah. No, they're going off with a bang for sure this last season before USC and UCLA move on. But kind of the article laid out the fact that ESPN did not do a deal with all these other the NFL or Premier Soccer. Why the hell would they do a deal with the Pac-12? And part of the reasoning was the thought of ESPN still wants the right to have games late at night. So you kind of, if you turn on ESPN, you can watch games all day, mostly SEC games. And then when you're kind of, just chilling at night, there's at least a Pac-12 game on ESPN or ESPN2 that you can turn on so they can own that as well. But I just don't even think that would have been a big enough deal for the Pac-12. Like all this comes down to dollars and cents. If you're only buying a package from a conference to put them on a time slot in which probably only, crazy ass gamblers on the East Coast or, people on the West Coast who we know don't love football are going to watch, is that going to be enough money for the conference and the page team? Probably not. So yes, this does go back to me kind of once again reiterating my feeling of kind of making fun of these people, but the Pac-12 is dead. Plain and simple. The Pac-12 is dead. If ESPN doesn't want your deal, Fox ain't going to take your deal. NBC is not going to take your deal. Unless you're going to go streaming, which these 8 athletic directors have already kind of voiced their concerns with going exclusively streaming, you don't have a deal.
Have we talked about NBC just giving it, them finishing this deal without deciding who's getting the championship game? Just really incredible stuff. Hey, boys.
Wait, finishing. Are you back on the Kevin Warren deal here? Because we were talking Pac-12.
Oh, we're back on Pac-12. It's just the whole thing.
Wait.
Well, they don't know where their championship game is going either. It's just a whole disaster. Both of these guys.
Well, I thought it was already determined that NBC was getting the championship game, but that now $40 million is owed to Fox because of that.
Yes, which is hysterical.
Look, Kevin Warren was playing fast and loose. Is basically what we talk. He little finger. Kevin Warren's got a little finger vibe to him, though, dude. He is very good at playing the game. Watching him recover from the COVID disaster was incredibly impressive, and how he climbed that ladder back up.
Can we just get our boy Colin to buy the TV rights for the Pac-12, and we'll just stream all the shows from the Volume Network?
I agree. Buy the TV rights. Pac-12 after dark.
Buy the TV rights.
I've heard worse ideas.
Snaps
I'll
12
move to California
after dark.
for that.
We'll do live, live like Manning-esque broadcasts for all the Pac-12 games. I can't wait to fucking call what's the most sicko Pac-12 game you could possibly watch? Maybe like Cal versus
Oregon State.
Stanford.
Yeah.
No, but Oregon State's too good now. I was going to throw Oregon State in there, but they're kind of legit good now.
San Diego State, when they add, when we make sure part of the TV deal is they add another team, so they add San Diego State.
Yeah.
So Cal versus San Diego State. There you go.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Now we're in the fucking Pac-12. That's how you know you've gone local. So look, you know what? I'm and it makes sense that ESPN, look, Disney's going through it right now a little bit, man, right?
Yeah.
The Marvel movies aren't hitting as much. The Star Wars stuff isn't hitting as much. Did y'all hear they're shutting down the Star Wars hotel?
The themed hotel, gone.
Just gone, dude.
Gone.
Look, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, well, I was obsessed with that idea. I still have not even been able to justify doing everything that I would need to do to go there. And you know how sometimes things seem obvious in retrospect? Turns out if people go to Disney, they want to go to Disney. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like people don't want to go all the way to Disney and then spend all their time inside
a Star Wars
spaceship.
hotel.
Which again is right up my alley. And I was like, wow, this is like Westworld, but real life. Like, this is genius. How is it not going to work? And now, no. So look, Bob Iger was brought in and basically is doing the classic, I don't know where I'm at in Succession. It feels like the Roman Roy, let's just gut it all. Let's just, where are we fat?
Yes.
Let's trim it up a little bit. And right now the Pac-12 looks like fat. The ESPN, unfortunately. It's gonna be a great year, though. I'm looking forward to it, dude. What else did I want to talk about here? Oh,
just last thing on that. I think there's more than a 50% chance that there's movement this summer. I think this was one of the final straws. If ESPN's not wanting a deal, I think there's a lot of internal conversation.
It's the only thing that makes sense of why a deal is not getting done is like, if it keeps getting done later and getting done later, that means they're negotiating who the schools are. Like,
and so we have no concerns then, like, we'll just rework the playoff then, right? Like, nobody's worried about, like, well, what if you suddenly don't have a Power 5?
They'll figure it out. Makes it easier.
And actually, I mean, 4 is objectively a better number than 5 when you're dealing with this stuff.
Then every Power 5 gets essentially a bye.
Yeah. Well, no, the top 4
Power 4,
do, right?
Power 4.
Yeah.
Every Power 4
Power
gets a
4
bye.
does.
Every Power 4 winner gets a bye.
Michael Campbell says they have to replan and repurpose that Star Wars hotel idea that was way overpriced. I mean, it was incredibly expensive, and I mean, I don't know. I thought it looked cool, but again, like if you go all the way down there, I don't know that I want to just spend my time always in there. Hey, Brum, did you see? Wait, Brum, I think you might get a kick out of this.
Hit me, buddy.
Move over, Ken Bone, because there's a new Bone in town. Do you remember Ken Bone?
I do remember Ken Bone, yes.
2016. Anyway, whatever. Mike Bone is out at USC AD, and
I can't believe we didn't make the freaking Bone Town ? With the
well, how about this? You could have done a picture of Mike Bone, like crying tears, like a clown noise, and then said boning it in. Because the allegations from the LA Times article really reads like you're just playing bad manager bingo. Here's what
you get a picture of him looking sad with Lincoln Riley looking the other way. Bad to the bone ?
The no bone zone. Okay, so here's all the allegations made by people that he worked. Okay, so it said that he made inappropriate comments about the appearance of female colleagues, that multiple people confronted about it, and, quote, the comments continued. It said that he just missed meetings that he was expected to attend.
It really read from, like, the 2017 Me Too bingo card of, like, poor management and, like borderline, like, 1990s style sexual harassment.
He was absent from key events, including USC national championship victories. Like, this is wild. If you're an AD and you have an athletic program, win a natty, you just show up for the dinner, right? Like, or the parade. That's like one of the baseline things. It's alleged that employees left meetings with Bone without direction. He shied from different conversations. And then 2 former USC coaches told the Times that Bone's leadership was the primary reason they left. So the only reason why I bring this all up, because that is like a Michael Scott level of, man, this guy just sucked, is that let it be known that no one, awards, nothing means anything ever. Because in March 2022, the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics named him AD of the Year. The first time a USC admin had ever won AD of the Year. As this is all going on, just last year in March, he's being named Athletic Director of the Year.
It's crazy. He's done some good stuff, though. I mean, he has done some good stuff from getting to the Big Ten, hiring Lincoln Riley, the success they had this past year. So just be a better person and you'd be fine, because some of the moves you've made off the field have been pretty good.
Yeah. So that is one of the weird things, right? Is that he seemed to be good at hiring like the big time names that he seemed to hire. But to me, that maybe gave him the feeling that he was impervious elsewhere, right? That like, okay, you know what? I got Lincoln Riley, so I don't actually have to show up to like the tennis national championship dinner, or like, I don't have to take this meeting that I don't want to take. I can kind of walk around a bit more old school. But like, no, I mean, to your point, like, yeah, no, you have to play the game nowadays, especially at a school like that where
Can I chime in here?
Yeah.
This article read like Mike Bone, and I don't know the person. I have no firsthand knowledge of this, but this clear reads like an article by people who hate his guts. What really comes down to is like, no one liked working with him. No one cares if you're missing stuff, if you're nice to be around.
Sure.
Everyone has a nice grace for you to delegate if you're fun to be around, but this guy was clearly incredibly unpleasant.
Just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think that is my read.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I should have mentioned that as well as a preface, Brum, is that yes, like obviously everybody in this article who's providing this information would obviously have reason to want this information out there because they personally do not like him. But just weird times. And now like a super big time job open, right? I mean, because at this point, you go in there and to Brum's point, you just make yourself like, well, bro, you should have you're pretty set here. You got Lincoln Riley, football's back. Like you're walking into a pretty cushy gig.
Yeah, extremely cushy gig. So, and your university about to get paid a ton of freaking money with this new deal with the Big Ten. So, like, yeah, you have now been set up to kind of take the reins of. This wasn't like taking it from Lynn Swan, who the football team was kind of in shambles. Like, just think USC football for the past decade has gone through suspensions, coaches, really bad years. And then now all of a sudden you get Lincoln Riley in the first year, you get a Heisman quarterback and you're one game away from making the playoffs. So like all is pretty hunky dory right now. And also too, like we said, you got a brand new deal for $70 million a year with the Big Ten. So you're walking into something pretty awesome at the end of the day. So just be a good person. That's all they want in California. They just want you to be nice. That's it. That's what they be nice and drink smoothies.
Okay. I mean, yes, I feel you that the environment is definitely hotter in California, but if you're an AD anywhere nowadays, I mean, look, man, you're at an institution of higher learning. You're gonna have to mind your P's and Q's, right? It's tough to get away with stuff that maybe you thought was cool back in the day. Michael, Dallas fan at DC1 Campbell says, good man says hit the like button. He says, I'm a Notre Dame fan, getting a kick out of always trying to join a conference. One day you'll lose $40 million. Nah, we doing good over here. Our business independent. We don't know. Notre Dame hasn't exactly struck their new deal, have they?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I'm sure they're waiting for all the dominoes to fall.
Yeah, that would make sense. Well, Jerry just has to determine, Swarbrick just has to determine if they still want to deign to play sports or not, right? In this new age of NIL, because they're just so disgusted by the direction of the sports. I wonder if they'll even still want to be involved. Breaking parallels, T-Bob, when we go to Mexico for our frog journey, I'm sure Colin will flip the bill. I think, look, I got to be honest. I'm open to hallucinogenics. I think I'm past the point in my life where I want to lick a toad. I just feel like I would have an awful anxiety attack as I was puking, and the shaman was telling me just to relax and like go amongst the stars. I don't know if I could handle it right now. Aaron, true or false? B2B Visor says Carson Beck will be in New York for the Heisman. Offense will average 40 a game. Beck throws for 4,200 yards.
Woo. Yes. I just wish that my co-host would continue to put my bet in, please. Yes, Carson Beck will be in New York for the Heisman. National
And
championship team, hell of an offense, best weapon Georgia's ever had, receiver wise. Brock Bowers at tight end, and Mike Bobo wanting to prove a message that he deserves to be back as a coordinator for Georgia is a recipe for a hell of a season.
the closer we get, the more and more I just hope that y'all fall flat on your face, dude. Y'all are
You're
in
such an
need
asshole.
of a fucking humbling. Y'all are already out of control. I mean, you just, and I get why. I would be too. Are you kidding me? Back in 2019, when LSU was on their natty run, I used to get drunk. Like, I'll never forget, at the end of the year, I went to a wedding in Columbus, Georgia, which is an interesting mix of Auburn fans, Georgia fans, and I forget there's one other in Columbus. Is it Florida maybe? I don't fucking know. But the entire time, anytime we saw anybody, if we even overheard someone talking about college football, me and my buddy would drugily just ba 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 up. Oh, Tiger, and just start yelling in their face, dude. So I mean, I feel you. I'd be barking, I'd be acting a fool too, but it doesn't mean that I don't want to see y'all humbled from afar, dude.
Such an asshole. Such an
Bobo
asshole.
up for the Broyles Award. Never. Klesko asks a good question. Will Aaron be able to congratulate the dogs in Mandarin by December?
Yes. We're back this week.
You can't
We're
even say
back
yes in
this
Mandarin.
week.
You should have answered that in Mandarin. Shishi.
I should have. We're back. No, we'll be back after my member guest in 3 weeks. You know, got it all focused on golf right now. As soon as that's over with, then
What
we can
is
get back on
yes?
the Mandarin.
What is yes
I don't
in
fucking know.
Mandarin?
I don't know.
You don't even remember yes?
I don't
Come
think that's
on,
one of the
okay.
words I learned yet. I didn't learn words
Yes,
yet.
you definitely learned yes and no, because no is like Juan, and I think yes was like shishi maybe. What was hi?
Shishi.
Ni hao?
Shishay. Yeah, ni hao. Ni hao.
Does your Mandarin fluent wife really, does she realize that you don't even know how to say yes and no? Do you care about
You
your
know
wife?
what? First off, no, don't start with this. First off, we made an agreement, her and myself, that she would learn how to play golf if I learned Mandarin.
So y'all are both
her
not
hitting golf
upholding
balls, yes. The first day she took one swing and said, "You know what? No, I'm not really about this." And then literally one swing. And it's like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, well, you got the better of the two deals. Like, you just have to play golf. You know, I have to learn Mandarin. Like, I think you got a pretty good little thing here, girl. And so kind of hurt my motivation a little bit. Just gonna throw it out there.
That is some grade A excuse bullshit making right there. And I mean that legitimately. You managed to literally gaslight your wife into saying that the only reason I'm not learning Mandarin for our child is because of you. Because you won't learn golf. Look at this. Now I can't learn Mandarin. You know what?
Golf
I hope you're happy.
and Mandarin definitely equivalent things.
I'm not saying that I'm not going to do
okay?
it. I'm just saying that was an extra motivation for me to do it. If this all came about because I was playing around. I saw a nice couple with like a 6-year-old son and like a 4-year-old girl. I took a picture. I said, "How awesome would this be if this is us one day? Hey, by the way, I'm going to start learning Mandarin. Maybe you can start doing golf. We'll kind of go back and forth." We made a deal, and neither of us have fallen through. It's both of our faults. I'll say that it's both of our faults. There you go.
Look,
you happy?
my
you happy?
my wife has never wanted to play D&D with me either, so I get it. I have fantasies of running like her and her friends to a D&D session one day, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Oh, hey, real quick, boys, on the way out here, I got a CornHub kernel of the day. Brum, are you here? I saved this for you.
I'm very excited.
Okay. CornHub kernel of the day brought to you by T-Cobb and Husker. Nebraska is the only athletic department in the Big Ten to operate completely without debt. Let's go, dude. Yeah, I told you a few months ago about how Warren Buffett has been a huge Husker his entire life. How's that for financial responsibility? Somewhere out there, the Oracle of Omaha is smiling. Nebraska right now building a $165 million football complex, boys. and looking into renovating Memorial Stadium. Boys, hop on the CornHub Hive now while there is still space available, bro. Come on, Aaron. Come the fuck, wake up.
Don't do it.
Wake up. Don't make me shuck you, okay? I don't want to shuck you, I will.
Can we get some? I will wear some CornHub merch if we get it made. Some Snaps CornHub. Can we please get
this? Yes, we're working on it now.
And then have like,
are you being sarcastic? Are you being serious?
And then totally serious.
And then have me like on the back, like finishing on Aaron's face. Only it's a piece of like it's like a corn cob in my hand, and just kernels of corn all over Aaron's face. That could be pretty funny. That might be a little too extreme, but I want some fan art. If anybody listening to the podcast,
I was gonna go like you eating a corn on the cob, like giving a thumbs up, and you're going.
Okay, that's actually
of course. Wow. All right.
You know what they call that? They call that a corngasm. Okay, just no corngasm. That's all I'm talking about, dude. Okay. Well, I think that's how we have to end this show. So we love you all very much. Remember, y'all, like and subscribe to the Volume Sports. Shout out to Volume for having us here. Shout out to obviously Colin Coward and the Volume Sports Network. A huge thank you to Ryan Brumley, Paul Farrington, Pat Gunner, Danny Carnes, Adam Gracia, Chris Castanuovo filling in last week. And a huge thank you to you, everybody who hangs out with us and listens and is in the chat every day. We love y'all. Y'all make this show so much fun. Rate it, review it, share it with your friends. We're brainstorming up some big plans for Snaps summer. So let's get ready to have some fun, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Snaps.